Ashe, Ashe, and grand rising once again to you all, my very beautiful people. Yes, you, my highly enriched melanin people, you, the Earth's original non-organic humans, aka my fellow Africans. It is I, the Mystic Philosopher, and yes, it is evident that I'm still here with you on this side of reality another time, and welcome back to the Mystic Peace talking again, aka on the 15 minutes with I, the Mystic Philosopher, and this is episode 42. Now, the main topic of this series of talks is stress on the mind. You already know that, or more correctly, the impact that this thing called stress is having on this thing that we humans called mind, or the mind. And from I, the Mystic Philosopher's perspective, the solution to this problem, or to this disease called stress, can or it may be found in and by the understanding, or by understanding, understanding and overstanding the want equation. And what is the want equation? Want is equal to money, which is equal to stress, which is equal to unhappiness. And also by putting into practice the knowledge that can be gained from this profound equation. And the quote that I have been using and have I've been using to make and illustrate my points is from the 23rd Psalm, 23rd Psalm, verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, which is in the Adamic race history and holy book. So by now you know and you understand of a fact that these words, these scriptures, these commandments, etc., that are in the Adamic race history and holy book, also known as the Christian Holy Bible, are at best only translations of what Moses may have said and may have wrote that his God, aka the Adamic God, may have said. And above all, that they are not even just second-hand information, but far more than second-hand. And that by no means can we or should we intelligently take these words at face value or as the actual original words of the Adamic God. Now that you know and understand these facts, and that we melanin people, our African people, have been duped by our oppressors and their agents among us, please let me continue with my quote of this, at best, which is at best third or fourth hand or more hand-me-down information. As I've mentioned, and as I intend to show and prove to you, my people, that most of these writings, these laws, these commandments, proverbs, idioms, etc., that are found in the Adamic race history and holy book are not original as claimed by the Adamic race and races, but that they are materials that were and that are actually stolen from our most honorable African ancestors. And I quote, let me just quickly quote the 10 Commandments from the Adamic race history and holy book, and I quote King James Version. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods beside me, or before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images, or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens, or that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord thy God will not hold him guilty lest that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is within thy neighbors. Unquote. Now, you might also remember in episode 36, where I first told you that I would be remiss if I did not point out the very important fact that I am very much aware of the fact that the content of the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, aka the Christian Holy Bible, is laced with plagiarism, meaning that these Johnny-come-lately race of humankind have borrowed, or more correctly and precisely, that they have blatantly stolen and have laid claim to a lot of our honorable ancestors, African ancestors' information, their ideas, our ancestors' thoughts, our ancestors' materials, and their teachings and their practices, their arts and their artifacts, etc., etc., etc. And they are passing, these Johnny-come-lately people are passing them off as if it is their own original material or their own original literature. Well, I am sure that some of you will remember hearing me say that in episode 36 and later episodes as well. However, what I did not say then, and what I might not have said then, and will tell you now, is that these Adamic race and races of humankind, aka our foes, they are our foes and our enemies, are such chronic, mendacious liars, thieves, and unconscionable wicked humankind that they claim, and they are still claiming to this day, that the literature and the materials that they have stolen from our ancestors, and by extension, that they have stolen from us, they are claiming that they were inspired by their Adamic God to write that their Adamic God inspired their prophets and whomever to write the things, to write commandments and laws that the evidence now clearly show were already written and recorded by our most honorable African ancestors, even before their God, let alone them, came into existence. They have claimed, and even in the face of the abundance of evidence that are available for all to access and see, they are still claiming, these Johnny-come-latelys are still claiming that their Adamic God is the source, that their Adamic God is the inspiration and the origin of all these commandments, and that they, the Adamic race and races of humankind, were inspired by him to write and to tell themselves that they should not steal, that they should not lie, that they should not kill each other. You name it or you name them. I also told you that even though because of circumstances that are beyond our control or that might be beyond our control, we may or we will sometimes have to go to their Adamic book and books to find some of our own stuff, our own materials, our own teachings to find, etc., etc. But I still told that it still does not negate the fact that it is their book and not ours, just as it is their God, their gods, their saviors, their devils, their prophets, etc., etc., that are written about or that are in them, are in it. And if I might add here, even though we may have to go to their Adamic Caucasoid museums and their Caucasoid mountains to find and to look at our own stuff that these murderers and these thieves have stolen and are laying claim to, that still does not negate the fact that it is their Adamic Caucasoid museums and their Adamic Caucasoid mountains. But that too is another topic, another subject for another time. Well, for your information, my melanin people, our most honorable African ancestors, some of whom are known as the ancient Egyptians, for your information, their way of life were guided by a list of laws or a list of principles and commandments known as the 42 laws or the 42 principles of Ma'at. Historians have not only believed, but they have also proven without a shadow of a doubt that these laws and commandments existed for thousands of years, at least for 2,000 years before the 10 Commandments were so-called given to the alleged character called Moses in around 1490 BC or before the Common Era. Now please let us bear in mind at all times this fact that our ancient African ancestors, the ancient Egyptian culture, flourished long before ancient Israel supposedly exists, that's mentioned before, let alone their recent religions called Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. Now, according to the said Adamic Bible, Moses, being an adopted son of Pharaoh's daughter, was raised in the highest levels of Egyptian society, and as he was raised as an Egyptian prince. And if that is true, then our activated common sense alone should tell us that he would have known and must have known the 42 principles of Ma'at by heart. Our activated common sense will also tell us that he took at the very least 7 or 8 of the 10 commandments that are found in his Adamic Grace History and Holy Book from the 42 principles of Ma'at, the 42 laws of Ma'at, and not from his ancestral God Yahweh. And there are tons of videos, articles, and research materials that are done by many other great researchers, writers, speakers that can be found right here online, that detail and detailing these facts. And so there is no need for me to further delve into them or into that at this time at least. However, as it relates to the 10 commandments in the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, and evidence that they are stolen from or that they are plagiarized by these mercenaries, there is one very important fact that I would like to point out here, especially as it relates to the commandment in the 23rd Psalm. So, the command in the 23rd Psalm, and I quote, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Now, according to some translations, and I pause here, and I ask that you please note the word translations, because you will no doubt remember what I said in my last episode, episode 41, about the difficulty in translating literature or literary works from one language to another. So according to some translations from the ancient Egyptian scriptures known as the Papyrus of Ani, to modern translation from that Papyrus of Ani to modern day English language by Egyptologists, people who study Egypt, all of the 42 laws of Ma'at is preceded with what I, the Mystic Philosopher, and from I, the Mystic Philosopher's perspective, considered to be an affirmative or an affirmative statement, or if you prefer, with an affirmation. And the affirmation is, I have not. Examples, I have not sinned, I have not stolen, I have not told lies, I have not committed adultery, etc., etc. But what these, the Adamic race, and by extension the Adamic race's robbers and plagiarists did in their attempt at trying to make it look and sound as if it was their Adamic God Yahweh that spoke to them and gave them some original material while telling them what to write. They wrote it in the negative or as a direct command from him. For example, thou shalt not, meaning you shall not. And more examples, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not commit adultery, etc., etc. Again, thus far in today's episode, I honestly think that I have given you, or at the very least, I honestly think that I might have given you, or given some of you, if not all of you, a lot more to think about, and possibly a lot more to look forward to in my next episode, especially as it relates to stress and the want equation. And so, in the interest of time, I think that I should just pause here for today and ask that you please join me if and when next I'm talking again, possibly in episode 43, where and when I will be talking and sharing more with you of my perspective, this time on the magic or the mystical and the metaphysical aspect of the word want, and the command and commandment, you shall not want. For I shall not want, you shall not want, we shall not want, and nor should we be found wanting. In the meantime and between time, please let me again remind you, my beloved people, that yesterday is history, too is dead and gone, no more to come back. Tomorrow is a mystery, it too may never come, but today is a gift, which is why we call it the present day. And so I hereby implore you, I'm imploring you to live for today. By live, I mean to claim your natural birthright. And just in case you forget and you don't remember what it is, your natural birthright is your happiness. So no let nobody steal the joy. So full joy today, and let's hope for tomorrow, for it too may never come, for you or for I. I am. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for your time. I am the Mystic Philosopher. Ashe, 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 I say. Try to keep it under 15.